how Mossad became the world's most feared intelligence agency. For decades, it has operated in silence, leaving behind rumors, fragments of evidence, and uneasy questions. To its supporters, it is a shield, quietly standing between a small nation and those who wish to destroy it. To its critics, it represents a shadow world where laws bend, borders mean little, and moral certainty fades into ambiguity. This is the story of the Mossad, Israel's foreign intelligence service, an organization born from trauma, shaped by war, and defined by actions that many governments will never publicly acknowledge. From secret captures that stunned the world to covert campaigns carried out across continents, Mossad has built a reputation that is both feared and admired. Some of its operations are celebrated as acts of survival. Others remain deeply controversial, raising difficult questions about justice, legality, and power. Today, we examine how Mossad came into existence, how it operates, and why its methods continue to provoke debate far beyond Israel's borders. In its early years, Mossad drew heavily from people with unconventional backgrounds. Some were native-born Israelis, while others were survivors of Europe's wartime devastation. Many had lived through persecution, displacement, and loss. That experience shaped the organization's worldview. Intelligence work was not theoretical. It was personal. Mossad became one pillar of Israel's intelligence system, working alongside Shin Bet, responsible for internal security, and Amon, the military intelligence branch of the Israeli Defense Forces. Together, these agencies formed a network designed to anticipate threats before they reached Israeli cities and civilians. For much of its early existence, Mossad operated quietly. It gathered information, cultivated informants, and built relationships with foreign intelligence agencies. The United States, particularly through the CIA, became one of its most important partners. Training, funding, and intelligence sharing strengthened Mossad's capabilities, even as occasional tensions emerged between allies pursuing their own national interests. Mossad's global reputation changed dramatically in 1960 with the capture of Adolf Eichmann, a former Nazi official who had played a central role in organizing the wartime deportations of Jews across Europe. Eichmann had been living in Argentina under an assumed identity, believing himself beyond reach. Mossad agents tracked him, confirmed his identity, and carried out a daring operation to bring him to Israel. The operation violated Argentine sovereignty and international norms, but it achieved its goal. Eichmann's trial was broadcast worldwide, forcing the global public to confront crimes many preferred to forget. For Israel, it was both an act of justice and a declaration. The past would not be ignored, and those responsible would not be allowed to disappear into anonymity. Following this operation, Mossad was no longer just an intelligence service. It was a symbol. Its actions demonstrated reach, patience, and resolve. That image only grew with subsequent operations. One of the most notable figures in Mossad's history was Eli Cohen, an operative sent deep into Syria in the early 1960s. Fluent in Arabic and deeply familiar with regional culture, Cohen infiltrated Syrian political and military circles, gaining extraordinary access to sensitive information. His intelligence proved invaluable to Israel, particularly in understanding Syrian military positions. Cohen's mission ended when Syrian authorities uncovered his activities. He was arrested, harshly interrogated, and publicly executed in 1965. Within Israel, Cohen became a national hero, an example of sacrifice in service of national security. His story also underscored the immense personal cost of intelligence work. The 1972 attack on Israeli athletes at the Munich Olympics marked another turning point. The incident shocked the world and deeply affected Israeli society. In response, Mossad initiated a covert campaign aimed at those responsible for planning and supporting the attack. Known unofficially as Operation Wrath of God, the campaign unfolded over several years and across multiple countries. Targets were identified, tracked, and eliminated through a variety of methods. While some praised the campaign as a necessary act of deterrence, others criticized it as an unlawful pursuit that blurred the line between justice and revenge. The operation also revealed the risks of intelligence work when mistakes occur, including the killing of an innocent man in Norway, which temporarily exposed Mossad operatives and strained diplomatic relations. Despite criticism, Mossad's leadership believed the message was clear: Attacks on Israeli citizens would have consequences, regardless of time or distance. In 1976, Mossad played a critical intelligence role in one of Israel's most celebrated military operations, the rescue of hostages held in Entebbe, Uganda. Intelligence gathered by Mossad helped Israeli forces plan a long-range rescue mission that successfully freed the majority of hostages. The operation became a symbol of precision, coordination, and resolve, further cementing Mossad's reputation. In later decades, Mossad adapted to new forms of conflict. Intelligence operations expanded beyond human sources into the digital realm. One of the most widely discussed examples is the Stuxnet cyber operation, believed to be a joint effort with the United States, which disrupted Iran's nuclear program by targeting industrial systems. Though never officially acknowledged, the operation demonstrated how intelligence agencies had entered a new era of warfare, one fought with code rather than weapons. Mossad has also been linked to targeted operations against leaders and specialists within militant organizations hostile to Israel. These actions are rarely confirmed, but they are widely discussed in intelligence circles. Supporters argue they prevent future attacks. Critics argue they undermine international law and fuel ongoing cycles of conflict. Perhaps one of the most controversial revelations came years later, when reports suggested Mossad had at times cooperated with former enemies when interests aligned. These stories reinforced a central reality of intelligence work. Ideology often takes a back seat to pragmatism. Throughout its history, Mossad has operated in a world where moral clarity is rare. Decisions are made under pressure, with incomplete information, and often with irreversible consequences. Successes are celebrated quietly, failures are denied, obscured, or absorbed into institutional memory. What remains consistent is Mossad's guiding principle, the belief that preventing future threats justifies extraordinary measures. Whether that belief ensures security or perpetuates conflict remains a matter of global debate. Mossad's history is not a simple story of heroes and villains. It is a record of difficult choices made in an environment where survival is never taken for granted. Its operations have reshaped intelligence work, influenced international relations, and challenged traditional ideas of sovereignty and justice. To some, Mossad represents vigilance in an unforgiving world. To others, it symbolizes the dangers of unchecked power operating beyond public scrutiny. Both perspectives exist because the organization itself exists in the shadows, where clarity is limited and consequences are profound. As global conflicts evolve and intelligence warfare becomes increasingly invisible, the questions raised by Mossad's actions grow more relevant, not less. How far should a state go to protect itself? And who decides where that line is drawn? Those questions remain unanswered, and perhaps that is exactly where intelligence agencies prefer them to stay.